Hi, it's time for Recommendations with Reed. I'm going to share with you some of my very, very favorite films. And if you're stuck inside, these are great, great movies to watch. There are so many that we all know, but I'm going to try and tell you about some of the ones that are maybe less known. If you don't know who Jean Arthur is, you owe it to yourself as an actor to see anything you can with her. She is in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which probably everybody has seen or should have. She's a perfect example of someone who is uniquely herself. She's not trying to be anything else but herself, and yet she becomes profoundly human and relatable in her idiosyncrasy. So, the first movie is called The Devil and Miss Jones. Not The Devil in Miss Jones, The Devil and Miss Jones. That's Jean Arthur right there. It is hilarious, it's sexy, and you really owe it to yourself. They don't make them like that anymore. Also with Jean Arthur is The More the Merrier. It's about World War II when there was a housing shortage and everybody had to sort of camp together. There weren't enough beds in Washington, D.C. So men and women found themselves sharing apartments and bedrooms, and it's very sexy. Joel McCrea is the leading man. You never saw anybody handsomer. And there is a scene in this that is the sexiest love scene I've ever seen, and it just involves the two of them walking down the street together. As an actor, you'll never see anything like it. Feel free to steal all of it. Kim Stanley, everybody's heard of her. She's a genius and one of a kind. And this was one of two movies from the 50s and 60s when she was in her prime that she made. This is called The Goddess, very, very loosely based on the life of Marilyn Monroe. And no one would have thought that Kim Stanley was an ideal choice to play Marilyn Monroe. But through sheer force of will and astonishing talent, she convinces you that she is a real sex pot and a huge movie star. It's a New York movie from the 50s where, you know, there weren't a lot of them, so you see amazing, great New York character actors in all the supporting roles, and it's fascinating. This is the movie version of The Member of the Wedding, Carson McCullers' play, and starring the original Broadway cast, Ethel Waters, Julie Harris, and Brandon DeWilde. And it's three of the greatest performances ever put on film. It's devastating and gorgeous and has an amazing musical score by Alex North and gorgeous cinematography. And even though Julie Harris was 27 at the time, you buy her as 12. It's worth it. Seek it out. They Shoot Horses, Don't They? The first movie where Jane Fonda proved herself as a serious actress. Up to then, it had been Cat Ballou and Barbarella. And it is beautiful. Sidney Pollack, I think 1969. And it's a devastating movie. As tense as it can be and gorgeously, gorgeously shot. Judy Holliday, another one of my favorites, who is also somebody who is incredibly idiosyncratic and strange, and yet hilarious and heartbreaking. This movie is called The Marrying Kind, written by Ruth Gordon and Garson Kanin. I think it's the first movie maybe, well, they had probably done a double life, but after Adam's Rib, which is also one of my favorites. If you haven't ever seen that, Tracy and Hepburn at their most delicious. It is completely undated, 1948, and it looks like it was filmed today. They're so fresh in their acting and their relating and their their banter. But this movie was filmed in New York in 1952, so there are gorgeous 50s New York locations, time travel. But it's also gorgeous. It's about a couple who are trying to get a divorce. And it's funny, but it's mostly real and heartbreaking. And you owe it to yourself to become familiar with that. Two for the Road, Audrey Hepburn and Albert Finney at their most beautiful. It's a grown-up love story. It follows this couple throughout the 50s and 60s on individual road trips that they are taking around France. And it cuts between them as 20s, 30s, 40s, back and forth. It's so smart and so much fun and gorgeous, and an incredible score by Henry Mancini. The Best Years of Our Lives, one of the greatest movies ever made after World War II, about soldiers returning home to small-town America. William Wyler directed. It is also beautiful, fantastic performances. Frederick March giving one of the great performances in the history of film. And again, he's an actor you all need to know. The Heiress, Olivia de Havilland, won the Academy Award. It's captures New York in the 1800s, Henry James. It's an incredibly satisfying movie, and she is out of this world in it. You really are in for a treat. Ralph Richardson plays her father, and he is giving one of the greatest mean dad performances ever. I've stolen all kinds of stuff from him in this movie. It's great and beautifully shot, also William Wyler. Holiday, Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant. This is the new Criterion version. On it, astonishingly, is the 1930 version of the play, which was lost for many, many years. And here it is in gorgeous Blu-ray. It's lots of fun to compare the two versions. Edward Everett Horton plays the same part in both movies. So the first one is much closer to the play. The second version is written by the Donald Ogden Stewart, who also adapted the Philadelphia Story, a perfect movie, to the screen. And so it actually improves upon the play. And Hepburn at her most glorious, and Cary Grant showing once again that he's a real movie star. His Girl Friday, hilarious, amazing to watch. You'll never see anything like it. It is the epitome of screwball comedy. And both Rosalind Russell and Cary Grant are jaw-droppingly good. And then the last one I have here is Love Among the Ruins from 1975. Katharine Hepburn and Laurence Olivier, they're only teaming together, directed by George Cukor. It might be hard to find. I think it might be on YouTube. It is smart. It is funny. The two of them are hilarious together. That's what comes from having known each other for 45 years. And they are clearly having a ball. It's a great script. It's beautifully shot, and really the last triumph of all of these people as far as I'm concerned. So you've got a lot of stuff to watch there. I hope you're staying well and safe, and finding a way to enjoy this. If you watch any one of these movies, you're in for a treat.